If she's in a relationship with you, why does she feel the need to flirt with other individuals? I would say that if she's really into you, she's not interested in flirting with other people, but if she insists on doing that, then yes, there is a reasonable question to be asked. Is this woman just playing you? Too many men silence their intuition in the name of patience. They explain away the signs, excuse the patterns, and convince themselves that discomfort is just a phase, not a warning. But sometimes what unsettles you isn't insecurity. It's wisdom knocking on the door, begging to be heard. Today, we're stepping into a conversation that many avoid but desperately need, one that invites clarity over confusion, truth over illusion. Welcome to Stoic Station, where we don't just react to life, we reflect on it. In this space, we speak to the man who's tired of being manipulated, tired of second-guessing himself, tired of giving more than he's ever received in return. You may have been there before, or you might be there now. Before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe and be part of this growing circle of men who choose self-respect over desperation, who value depth over drama. And drop a comment below. What's a sign you've seen that a woman wasn't truly with you, just playing the part? We often hear about men being players, but let's not ignore the truth. Some women play the game just as well, and some even better. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. So as we explore these signs together, remember, the goal isn't to judge, it's to wake up. Let's begin. Sign number 1. She has a lot of male friends who do things for her. It's easy to overlook this at first. She's social, charming, well-connected, and it seems like she just has a lot of guy friends who enjoy being around her. But over time, a pattern begins to emerge. These aren't just friendships. These men go out of their way for her. They run errands, fix things, cover expenses, lend their time, attention, even resources, often with a quiet, unspoken hope lingering in the background. At first, you might brush it off as coincidence. Maybe she's just the kind of woman who attracts help wherever she goes. But when you look closer, you begin to realize that she's not just receiving kindness, she's orchestrating it. Whether consciously or not, she's learned how to keep these men close, to keep them useful. She knows how to play the part. A smile here, vulnerability there, a compliment dropped at just the right moment. And suddenly, she's the center of a circle of men who are all giving, while she rarely gives back in kind. You start to notice that when she needs something, she doesn't come to you. Or if she does, it's after she's already tapped 3 other guys first. And if you bring it up, if you ask honest questions about these relationships, she turns it back on you. You're being possessive, you're insecure, you don't trust her. But deep down, you know this isn't about control. It's about clarity. You're not asking her to cut people off. You're asking if you are her partner, or just one of many temporary providers orbiting her charm. The truth is, someone who's truly invested in building something real with you won't rely on a rotating cast of men to meet her needs. She'll look to you, not because she can't handle things on her own, but because she chooses you as her emotional and relational center. A woman who's playing the field doesn't choose. She collects. And in that difference, everything is revealed. Sign number 2. She's very flirtatious. Flirting, on the surface, can seem harmless. It's often brushed off as personality, a natural charm, a playful spirit, a social nature. But when you're in a relationship with someone who constantly seeks that kind of attention from others, it starts to wear on you in ways that are difficult to explain. You begin to question whether her warmth is reserved for you, or simply a tool she uses to draw people in. A woman who is deeply connected to you emotionally doesn't need to cast wide nets for outside validation. Her energy is directed toward the man she's building with, not toward creating sparks with strangers. But a woman who flirts with intention, who plays with desire just to feel desired, is often chasing something else entirely. Sometimes it's about power. Sometimes it's about unresolved wounds or a fear of stillness. Sometimes it's just about the thrill of being wanted. What makes it more complicated is how easily it's dismissed. If you bring it up, she may laugh, brush it off, or suggest you're just reading too much into things. But you know what it feels like when someone flirts to manipulate, not to connect. You feel it in the small ways, how she lights up for others more than for you, how her attention feels divided, how you're never quite sure if you're the center or just another piece of her audience. Real connection doesn't need theatrics. If a woman is constantly performing for the room, she may never truly be present with you. And no matter how subtle it is, when someone's loyalty to attention is stronger than their loyalty to you, it's only a matter of time before the truth reveals itself. Sign number 3. She gets very upset when you don't give her what she wants. There's a quiet kind of pressure that builds when you're with someone who seems to only value you for what you can give. At first, it's subtle, small requests, hints dropped in conversation, a tone in her voice that sounds more like expectation than appreciation. You want to give, of course. You're a man who takes pride in supporting the woman you care about. But what happens when giving becomes the only way you're allowed to feel safe in the relationship? A woman who genuinely loves you understands that life has seasons. There are times of abundance and times of constraint, moments when you're able to give freely and others when you're simply trying to stay grounded. But a woman who gets angry or distant every time you say no isn't looking for love. She's looking for leverage. Her affection starts to feel transactional. If you do this for her, you're met with warmth. If you don't, you're met with coldness, silence, or even shame. It's not about the gift or the favor itself. It's about what your no represents. It challenges her sense of control. It tells her you're not someone who can be easily manipulated. And that's where her frustration begins. She may not raise her voice, but the disappointment in her expression, the guilt she subtly places on you, or the way she compares you to other men who would have done it, all of it is designed to make you question yourself. Not because you're wrong, but because she wants you compliant. In a healthy relationship, boundaries are honored. Love doesn't vanish when convenience does. A woman who's with you for you won't make you feel like you're failing just because you aren't constantly saying yes. She won't use your love against you. She'll recognize your efforts, not just your output. But a woman who's playing a game will push every emotional button she can just to get what she wants in the moment, without thinking of what it costs you in the long run. You deserve a relationship where your no is met with understanding, not punishment. Because real love doesn't ask you to empty yourself just to be enough. It invites you to give from a full place, and trusts that even when you can't, your heart is still present. Sign number 4. She's emotionally detached. There's something unsettling about loving someone who feels close, yet always out of reach. She shows up, she smiles, she shares space with you, but something in her remains untouched, sealed off. You sense it in the quiet moments when vulnerability should surface but doesn't. You feel it when your deep questions are met with deflection, when your emotional openness is met with distance instead of warmth. She's physically present, but emotionally unavailable, and over time, that absence starts to echo louder than words ever could. An emotionally detached woman often isn't cold by nature. Many times, she's been shaped by experiences that taught her closeness equals danger. Maybe she's been hurt. Maybe trust was broken in a way that made her build walls instead of bridges. But if she hasn't begun the journey of healing, she's not truly available to love anyone, not fully. She'll stay guarded, navigating the relationship with her heart locked away, offering just enough to keep things going, but never enough to truly let you in. You may try to rationalize it. Maybe she's just independent, or maybe she doesn't know how to express herself. And while all of that could be true, you'll eventually notice that emotional intimacy always feels one-sided. You open up, she listens, but never mirrors it. You reach out, she holds back. Over time, you start to feel more alone in her company than you would in solitude. The most dangerous part is how easy it is to accept less when you want something to work. You begin to lower your expectations, telling yourself that maybe this is just how love is supposed to feel. But it's not. Real love is connection. Real love is presence. Real love shows up not just in gestures, but in emotional availability, in softness, in the willingness to be seen, even in the messiest, most vulnerable parts. A woman who's emotionally detached isn't necessarily cruel, but if she's unwilling to meet you in the emotional depth you're offering, then she's not choosing you fully. And love that's half given will always leave you empty, no matter how hard you try to fill the space. Sign number 5. You're giving way more than you're receiving. There's a quiet exhaustion that settles in when you're constantly pouring into someone who never pours back. At first, you don't notice it. You give because you care, because it feels right, because that's how you've always shown love. You cover the small things, then the big things, her needs, her comfort, her plans. You become the anchor, the provider, the problem solver. And for a while, that feels like enough. But slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to shrink. Not because you're weak, but because the relationship has become one-sided. A woman who's truly in it with you will find ways to meet you where you are. Her love won't always look the same as yours, but it will be felt. She'll notice when you're tired and give you space. She'll encourage you, speak into your spirit, offer presence and peace, even if she can't always offer material things. That kind of love is balanced, even if it's not symmetrical. But when you're with someone who's only there for what you can provide, you start to feel like a resource, not a partner. The imbalance becomes routine. You're expected to give, and when you don't, there's frustration. But when you need something, even something as simple as emotional support, the well runs dry. You may even question yourself, wondering if you're asking for too much, if you should just be grateful to be needed at all. You deserve more than that. You deserve reciprocity, not perfection, not constant praise, but a steady effort, a willingness to meet love with love, effort with effort. A woman who truly values you won't let you carry the weight of the relationship alone. She'll want to add to your life, not just take from it. When giving becomes survival and not an extension of joy, it's time to ask yourself, is this love, or is this emotional labor disguised as intimacy? Real love doesn't drain you, it strengthens you. And if you're always the one giving while receiving scraps in return, then maybe it's time to let go, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. Sometimes, what breaks your heart isn't the absence of love. It's the absence of being chosen in return. After reading and reflecting on these 5 signs, what strikes me most is how easily we as men can fall into the trap of mistaking connection for commitment. We want to believe the best. We want to invest, protect, provide. But when you're constantly giving, showing up, and carrying the emotional weight of a relationship, only to realize you're just one of many, it leaves a scar that doesn't show on the surface, but runs deep within. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes from being with someone who is always surrounded by people, always admired, always attended to, and yet never truly present with you. She may be charming, affectionate, even attentive at times, but you're not the priority. You're an option. And when love feels like a competition for her attention, her respect, or her loyalty, something vital starts to erode in you. Your peace, your clarity, your self-worth. These signs aren't just warnings about who she is, they're mirrors that reflect where you are in your own journey. Are you choosing someone who chooses you back? Are you pouring into a bond that pours into you too? Or are you staying because you're afraid that letting go means failure, when in fact it may be your greatest act of self-respect? The lesson is this: love should never feel like a performance. You shouldn't have to compete to be seen, beg to be heard, or overextend to be enough. A woman who genuinely wants to build with you will meet you in the middle, not just in grand gestures, but in quiet consistency. So the real takeaway isn't just to spot a female player, it's to remember who you are, and to never again settle for someone who keeps you in their orbit, while never making you their home. These 5 signs weren't just red flags. They were quiet truths, the kind you feel deep down, but maybe haven't had the words for. If any of this spoke to you, I invite you to share your own experience in the comments. What signs have you noticed? What have you learned along the way? Because your story, yes, yours, might be the one that helps someone else finally see clearly. If this message resonated, consider subscribing to the Stoic Station channel and staying connected. There's still more to uncover, more to grow through, and yes, more to heal from. Until next time, take care of your heart, protect your peace, and remember this: you deserve to be chosen, not chased.